Good morning, and welcome to the Polish Museum of America and the Polish Roman Catholic Union of America National Headquarters. This morning, we celebrate this official State of Illinois commemoration to General Kazimierz Pulaski. My name is Richard Owsiany. I'm the president of the Polish Museum, and to my right is the president of the Polish Roman Catholic Union of America and the chairman of the board for the Polish Museum of America, James Robaczewski.
Good morning. We're here this morning to celebrate the memory of Kazimierz Pulaski. We celebrate the commemoration of his birth and the ideals of a man who was born in to help fight for freedom and oppression in the colonies. He came here as a volunteer. He fought with the American colonists against British oppression. And these are things we need to remember about him and going forward in protecting the freedoms that we hold dear to our heart, as well as hold in for people of other countries. Thank you. And now, could everybody please rise for the presentation of the colors by the Kosciuszko Lancer Society, presenting the colors of the Republic of Poland and the United States of America. Followed, the national anthems will be sung of Poland and the United States will be sung by Mirosława Sojka-Toper, who will be accompanied on piano by Kamil Budira.
Please be seated. In 1973, in this very room, Governor Dan Walker signed an executive order proclaiming Pulaski Day in Illinois. 13 years later, in 1986, Governor James Thompson signed legislation designating the first Monday in March a state holiday honoring General Casimir Pulaski. Since Pulaski's gallant and heroic exploits and his tragic death, his deeds have not been lost from the memory of future generations. There is hardly a state in the Union that does not have a county, town, street, or highway, park, school, or monument named in the grateful memory of General Casimir Pulaski. In 2009, Congress bestowed honorary citizenship to Pulaski. May the magnificent spirit of General Casimir Pulaski continue to inspire all Americans with a sense of duty to country, pride, a spirit of mission, and the never-ending struggle for human dignity and freedom. In such a manner, we Americans can honor this soldier of liberty, this undaunted warrior who sacrificed his life for the cause of American independence. To begin our program this morning, I call upon Treasurer of the State of Illinois, Michael Frerichs, to welcome on behalf of the State of Illinois.
Dzień dobry. Moje przyjaciele, my friends and fellow Illinoisans, as a constitutional officer of the state of Illinois, it is my honor to greet you today, which is a testament to the strong bonds between the land of Lincoln and the land of the White Eagle. It's my pleasure to be with you all. It's been far too long. So much has changed in the past 2 years. But I'm happy to share there's been a big change in my own life that makes this day even more special to me. That's because it is in this neighborhood, old Polish downtown, that my future wife's family began their American journey, just like so many other Poles who have immigrated to Chicago. Just down the road on Noble Street, where they attended St. Stanislaus Kostka Church, the mother parish of Chicago, Polonia. Now, there have been changes in our world too, and some of them, I'm sorry to say, are not for the better. The lawless dictator, Vladimir Putin, has not just invaded Ukraine, he is seeking to undermine the hard-fought rights of people in Eastern and Central Europe to control their own destiny. Putin thought that he could steamroll Europe, but thanks to the courage of Poland, he is learning otherwise. We've had a long relationship with Poland, and we stand ready to defend the sovereignty of our allies. We need to send a strong and forceful message that thwarts Putin's ability to attack his peaceful neighbors. We know that if we do not stand up today, if we practice a policy of appeasement, then the Russian army will not stop at Kiev. They will eventually move on to Warsaw, to Vilnius, to Riga, to Chisinau, and to Prague. Now is the time to draw a firm line in the sand on the side of democracy and our brothers and sisters in Central and Eastern Europe. Lessons from history are also lessons for our future. Poland has a history of doing what's right. Today, Poland is courageously standing by the side of Ukraine, acting the way that they hoped their neighbors would have when they were left alone to face the Germans and the Soviets in 1939. I cannot overstate how awestruck I am at the selfless generosity with which the Poles have taken in nearly 1 million Ukrainians displaced by Putin's bombs, to nurse the distraught and injured, as well as to give them asylum when it's so desperately needed. The lessons of Christian charity, which Saint Pope John Paul II preached, are on display for the whole world to see. It is an outstanding example of leadership in the most dire of circumstances. When the United States was fighting for its independence, 2 of Poland's greatest heroes came to our country to give everything they had for our liberty: Tadeusz Kościuszko and Kazimierz Pulaski. If Poland's freedom is ever in danger, I think we can all agree that we owe it to our Polish friends that we do the same. za naszą I waszą wolność, for our freedom and for yours. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Treasurer Frericks. The building that the museum occupies is a historic museum for the Polish community. This building has welcomed many, many individuals since its being built in 1913. In this very room, we had Polish-American men signing up for the Blue Army, going over to France. You had Ignacy Paderewski visit the museum. We've had, pardon me, General Sikorski, the future Pope, when he was Cardinal, visited the museum. The future President, Barack Obama. And our next speaker joins the ranks of the guests that privileged us in having visit the museum. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the Ambassador to the United States from the Republic of Poland, Ambassador Marek Magierowski.
Szanowni Państwo, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. This is a genuine honor for me and a privilege to be meeting with you on this particular day and at this remarkable event. First of all, let me convey my heartfelt greetings to Mr. Serhiy Koledov, the Consul General of Ukraine in Chicago. We stand with Ukraine, Mr. Consul. If you looked around, you would probably see many paintings here in this museum which depict our fight against aggressors. And on many of them we would find Russians. The Ukrainians are now fighting the Russian army on their own soil, defending not only their freedom and their independence, but also ours. Ladies and gentlemen, just look at this date behind me. It's 1939, and I believe, and I'm afraid we are now living another 1939 moment in our lives, and we have to be determined to stave off that aggression and to defend the free world. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, let me read the letter written by the President of Poland, Mr. Andrzej Duda, and addressed to the organizers and the participants of today's event. Ladies and gentlemen, dear fellow compatriots and American friends of Poland, Kazimierz Pulaski Day, a state holiday celebrated with solemnity in Illinois, is a special opportunity to remind what the Polish spirit of freedom and solidarity is, what the Polish ethos of brave, unyielding fight for the respect of inherent human rights and the rights of whole nations stand for. This ethos deeply permeated the life and achievements of General Pulaski, Marshal of the Bar Confederation, an excellent officer of the Polish army fighting against Russian imperialism at the end of the 18th century. Kazimierz Pulaski also became famous as one of the outstanding commanders of the American War of Independence. Known as the father of the American cavalry, he saved George Washington's life at the Battle of Brandywine. He died from wounds sustained during the attack on Savannah in 1779. He is venerated by Poles and Americans to this day because he made the ultimate sacrifice in the name of an ideal encapsulated in the slogan on the banners of the Polish insurgents, "For our freedom and yours." This is the common guiding idea of Poles and other nations fighting against the tyranny of the Tsarist Russia, against the partitioning, absolutist monarchies of Prussia and Austria, and later also against the Nazi German Third Reich and the Communist Soviet Union. This call is still relevant today, when the unlawful aggression of the Russian Federation against independent Ukraine violated the peaceful order that had been established for decades by the peoples of Europe, both after World War II and following the collapse of the Soviet Empire. Still, it is worth bearing in mind that the challenges of modern times never overwhelm those who are able to draw knowledge and inspiration from historical experience and have the support in a strong community. The founders of the Polish Museum of America knew that the Polish Museum of America is one of the oldest institutions of its kind in the United States, with great achievements in preserving and disseminating the culture, history, and attainments of Poles and Polish Americans. This was understood by the founders of the Polish Roman Catholic Union of America, sponsors of the museum. The Polish Roman Catholic Union of America is one of the most important bodies in the history of the Polish community here, caring not only for the material well-being of our immigrant compatriots, but also making sure that they create compact, dynamic communities bound by attachment to their language, faith, and the national traditions of their fathers from the old country. I would like to convey my respect and appreciation to the members of both these organizations for their long-term, fruitful social work and for the preparation of today's ceremony. I thank you all for your participation and for all your efforts to ensure that the friendship and cooperation between the Polish and American people bring as much good as possible both to them and to the entire free world. Ladies and gentlemen, I wish you a successful celebration of Kazimierz Pulaski Day and many new successes in preserving the Polish heritage on American soil. My warmest greetings to you. President Andrzej Duda. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Ambassador. Next, we'll have a musical interlude that will be presented by the Academy of Music of the Pulaski Symphony Orchestra, and they will perform two pieces. First, the Polonaise by Carl Bohm, and then Let There Be Peace on Earth by Jill Jackson Miller and Cy Miller. The Academy of Music musicians of the Pulaski Symphony Orchestra.
Please join us in singing this next song. The lyrics are in your programs. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Academy of Music of the Pulaski Symphony Orchestra, magnificent, magnificent young Polish Americans whose talent is unbounding, and we are so proud of their talents and the fact that they came here today. It is an honor to introduce our next speaker, the mayor of the city of Chicago, of the greatest city in the world. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mayor Lori Lightfoot.
I'm struck by the words of the ambassador, for your freedom and ours. Those words have particular resonance in this time. I'll speak more about it briefly, but it's important that we not forget our Ukrainian brothers and sisters who are in literally the fight of their lives every moment of every day. We've been watching now, we're almost 2 weeks in horror of what the murderous regime of Vladimir Putin is doing to a peaceful, freedom-loving people in Ukraine. It's not only distressing and depressing, but we must galvanize our anger to make sure that we do everything that we can to support the Ukrainian people in this dark hour so they will see the light of freedom in the dawn. I'm thrilled to be here on Pulaski Day in commemoration of another freedom fighter, the general who came to this country to support our aspirations as a young nation fighting the tyranny of the British. The Polish people have been such an intrinsic part, not only of our country, but particularly the city of Chicago throughout our history. The history of the city of Chicago is Polish history to its core, and we must never forget that. So thank you, Mr. Ambassador, for being with us here today, and your lovely wife. I appreciated our moments. I also want to thank the members of the Warsaw Sister Cities Committee and the Polish Community Engagement Council who helped organize this lovely occasion. And I will also say, if you have not been here to this incredible museum that celebrates the history of the Polish people in our country, but in particular the city of Chicago, you are missing out. So do not delay. Come here and support this museum and understand more about the Polish history in our city and our region. As was mentioned earlier, in 2009, President Obama named Kazimierz Pulaski an honorary American citizen, making him one of only 8 people ever to receive that high distinction. As a fierce fighter against the foreign domination of Poland, Pulaski saw America as the next frontier in the fight for democracy and self-determination, and became himself a revolutionary leader. As Pulaski said, quote, "I could not submit to stoop before the sovereigns of Europe, so I came to hazard all for the freedom of America," end quote. And from the very beginning of our nation, Poland has been our ally, our friend. It's my privilege to celebrate these Polish democratic values, especially on Pulaski Day. Poland's culture, traditions, and customs run deep throughout our city. Thanks to the Polish and Polish-American residents who call Chicago home and have for centuries. Thanks to the effort of so many of you of joining us today, the city of Chicago has enjoyed a sister city relationship with Warsaw, Poland since 1960, our very first sister city. While Warsaw is the capital of Poland, we like to think that Chicago is the capital of the Polish diaspora here in the United States. We are home to the largest Polish population outside of Poland, with about 160,000 Polish Americans. And Chicago continues to be a top destination for Polish immigrants, as we're home to numerous Polish-centric organizations, weekend language schools, and let me pause on that. We saw the beautiful young people perform for us earlier. One of the things that I admire greatly about the Polish community is that they continue to teach the history and the language to their children so that the next generation assumes its rightful place in making sure the history of the Polish people continues to live on in each of them, and they should be commended for that. You can clap for that. Our city's Polish community has and continues to have a profound and positive impact on our city's culture and economy. And I hope that Pulaski would be pleased with the way that Chicago has welcomed, uplifted, and really made Polish culture integral to our city's fabric. And I know that he would be proud of the way that Poland has stepped up and reacted in response to the crisis in the Ukraine. With the fall of the Berlin Wall, many Central and Eastern European countries that had been under the yoke of communism were able to breathe freely for the first time in a long time. Poland led this charge toward democracy through its solidarity movement and has remained a steadfast supporter of democracy ever since. Its neighbor Ukraine sits at an existential crossroad, with its democratically elected government being brutally attacked by Putin and his regime, and we must have a moment of praise for President Zelensky and all the other mayors and government officials across Ukraine who are standing firm and saying, not on our time, not on our watch, we will never succumb to the yoke of a murderous regime of Vladimir Putin and his enablers in Russia. We must give them praise for what they are doing. They are showing us every single day what leadership and courage looks like. We must commend them. Without hesitation, the Polish community here in Chicago and in Poland has sprung into action to help their neighbors, providing aid, welcoming refugees, and establishing critical humanitarian relief programs. We must thank them, but we must do more. I said to the ambassador, we stand ready to aid in any way possible. That's already happening, but we must open up our doors as a country and as the city of Chicago to welcome our brothers and sisters from Ukraine who want the same thing that we want, is to live their life in peace and with justice. And we will open up our doors and welcome our Ukrainian brothers and sisters, just as we have every other immigrant community. Chicago is a welcoming city, but we must live our values by opening up the doors for our Ukrainian brothers and sisters in this moment of great need. We must continue our journey of showing the importance of caring for one another. This isn't the first time that this community has stepped up to help people in need. We are here today celebrating in person without masks because of the sacrifice of many across our city, and I want to make sure that I give all praise to the Polish community, members of the Eastern European diaspora. During the height of the pandemic, the Polish community worked tirelessly to protect Chicagoans, hosting vaccine events in local churches to ensure the safety of Polish seniors. We held a massive vaccination clinic at the Koponius Center, where we welcome everyone on the Northwest side, but across our city, to make sure that that life-saving vaccine was ready and available. And I want to thank the organizations, and I want to thank the Consul Generals for stepping up and doing their part and helping with that work. I especially want to thank the members of the Warsaw Sister Cities Committee and the members of our Polish Community Engagement Council for providing us counsel and guidance on how best to support our Polish community during these difficult times. My administration will always look for ways to support and uplift our Polish community. For example, we partnered with the Polish American Chamber of Commerce for small business grants to support and preserve Polish-owned businesses, especially in those that historical corridor along Milwaukee Avenue. We've also worked to increase language access in Polish, including hiring staff members who are fluent. Now, I know Treasurer Pappas, we're a little behind you, but we're trying to catch up as quickly as we can. And in a room full of accomplished leaders, lawyers, business owners, and more, I know how important it is that your work helps to protect those who are most vulnerable in your community, our community. That's why I'm proud to say that in the latest Shy Biz Strong legislative package, we became the first city in the nation to require that domestic care workers have a right to a written contract for the work that they do as well. The latter is deeply personal for me because my mother worked as a care worker to support our family, as did my maternal grandmother. Providing women, immigrants, and other vulnerable workers with real protections to prevent them from being taken advantage of remains a point of pride for my administration. I am, however, clear-eyed in knowing that there is still more work to do. My administration will continue to work with all of you, reaching out in collaboration and partnership as we forge ahead in the days to come. I am confident that the days for Chicago in 2022 and beyond are going to be some of our brightest days ahead. But we've got to stay in unison, in collaboration and partnership. We've got to listen to each other and make sure that we are working together with a common sense of purpose to make sure that all of our communities, and particularly our most vulnerable residents, our seniors, those workers who are living from paycheck to paycheck, that we never forget them in what we do. That is in the spirit of General Casimir Pulaski as we celebrate here today. It's an honor to be with you. Thank you all very much.
Thank you, Mayor Lightfoot, for those wonderful words. Makes you proud to hear the feeling behind them. And I'm speaking as a citizen of the city of Chicago and my family for the past 150 years being a citizen of the city of Chicago. So thank you once more. Next on our list, we have a video remarks from Senator Richard Durbin. If you're not familiar with Senator Durbin, he's a senior senator from the state of Illinois. Mr. Durbin serves as the Senate Majority Whip and serves as the chair of the Senate Judiciary Committee, and he also sits on the Appropriations and Agricultural Committees. Senator Durbin.
This is Senator Dick Durbin. I'm glad to celebrate the life of Polish patriot and hero Casimir Pulaski today and to honor his fight for freedom. Indeed, after Russia's recent invasion of Ukraine, we remember General Pulaski coming to America and fighting for our freedom. General Pulaski is the most well-known for his courage and his skill in fighting for us in our War of Independence. He was an outstanding military leader, named the father of the American cavalry, saving the life of George Washington, making the ultimate sacrifice. He died to defend freedom in his adopted country. I led the effort in Congress to honor Casimir Pulaski with American citizenship, honorary American citizenship. General Pulaski joined an illustrious list of only 8 other Americans so honored. They included Marquis de Lafayette, Winston Churchill, and Mother Teresa. But not everyone knows about General Pulaski's first fight, which began when he was only 17, fighting for Polish freedom and independence against Russia, Austria, Prussia. Pulaski was known as one of Poland's most effective commanders. Only after the movement was defeated did he flee to the United States for his freedom. I wish these desperate fights for independence were in the past, but we know that one is going on right now in Ukraine. Just last week, I was in Warsaw, meeting with the President of Poland and other leaders. I can't tell you how proud I am of what they've done to accept the Ukrainian refugees. It's a great show of statesmanship and caring at a time when America and the world are watching closely. February, I was honored to join that Munich Security Conference where President Zelensky of Ukraine stepped forward and told us what we've seen unfold ever since. That visit to Poland showed me that this neighbor counts on the NATO alliance and counts on America to be there should Vladimir Putin step over the line. At this moment in history, let's honor General Pulaski and what he did in fighting for freedom in the United States. But let us remember that his commitment to freedom needs to be renewed with every generation.
We all are aware of what's happening in Ukraine. There's not a single moment in the news today that doesn't mention what is happening, the atrocities, but also the bravery of the Ukraine people. And we are very, very proud to have as our neighbors the Ukrainian village not too far away from the museum. I'd like to acknowledge 2 of our friends from the Ukrainian community, Lydia Takchuk from the Ukrainian Museum, and Dan Dachun, who's the president of the Ukrainian Congress Committee of America. Thank you for coming here today. You know, on Pulaski Day, I think we would be remiss if our program wasn't touched with what's happening in Ukraine. I'd like to introduce our next speaker, Sergei Koledov, Consul General of Ukraine in Chicago.
Thank you, Richard. Ladies and gentlemen, dear friends, today we have gathered to honor the memory of the hero of Poland and the United States, General Kazimierz Pulaski. He was born and lived at a time when the sprouts of modern democracy were beginning to emerge, when the people of Europe and the Americas rebelled against the tyranny to build a new world. Kazimierz Pulaski was one of such heroes. It should be noted that part of his life was associated with Ukraine, where he became involved with the Bar Confederation to defend the internal and external independence of the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth against Russian influence. For example, he fought his second battle on April 23, 1968, near Starokonstantinov. Now it's a Khmelnytskaya region. It was a victory. The practical military experience that Kazimierz Pulaski gained in Europe, in particular in the battle with the Russian occupiers, was useful for the young American nation. It was here that he became a legend and one of the founders of the American Army, well known as the father of the American cavalry. Kazimierz Pulaski was a very extraordinary person. So for more than 20 years, his compatriots and Americans have gratefully remembered his life. Memory of General Kazimierz Pulaski are extremely relevant today because as 200 years ago, the struggle against the Russian invasion is taking place again. And now I would like to talk about current events. From the first minutes of the war, our Polish friends extended a helping hand to us. In the 11 days since the Russian military offensive in Ukraine, more than 1 million people have found safety in neighboring Poland by crossing 8 border crossings between the two countries. The authorities there registered refugees and provided them with accommodation and assistance, supported by United Nations High Commissar for Refugees, the UN Refugee Agency, which are also providing information and legal assistance, and moving additional relief supplies to a warehouse near the border for distribution. Atop of the efforts of national authorities and humanitarian agencies, Polish citizens and local organizations have also come out in force to support the new arrivals. Poland also provides Ukraine with additional weapons, ammunition, fuel, money, humanitarian aid, and diplomatic support. Was welcomed by Andrzej Duda in Warsaw on my way back to Ukraine from the United States. Polish leader expressed Poland's admiration to the Ukrainian armed force with a successfully fight back Russian aggression. Warsaw's practical help, additional weapon, money, humanitarian assistance. Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Ukraine, Dmytro Kuleba, posted on Twitter following the meeting with the President of Poland, Andrzej Duda, on Warsaw on February 24th. As you know, the board of the National Bank of Poland adopted a decision to provide the National Bank of Ukraine with currency swap worth 900 million euros. Ukraine and Poland initiated the termination of Russia's membership in the Council of Europe. The Warsaw City Council has launched legal proceedings to put the building used by Russian diplomatic missions on balance. After the completion of legal procedures, it is planned to use the building to house Ukrainian citizens who left the territory of Ukraine as a result of Russian armed aggression. 15 Polish cities decided to unilaterally terminate cooperation agreement with 15 Russian cities. And I say that only about a small part of the assistance and support that Poland provides and we hope will provide in future. Therefore, I am glad that Polish Americans also join this titanic work. As you probably know, last Friday at the Daily Plaza, Polish American community of Chicago and SEIU Local 1 organized a rally vigil to peace. During the rally in support of Ukraine, the organizers gathered $10,000 and medical equipment. Thank you for your donation. On behalf of the Consul General of Ukraine, Chicago, and myself, I appeal you to continue to provide all possible assistance to Ukraine. Please contact with your senator, congressman, and local officials to ask the US government to decide on the implementation of A2AD zone over Ukraine for the protection against aircraft and ballistic missile. Ukraine also needs humanitarian, logistical, financial assistance. Your help is invaluable, and Ukrainians gratefully accept it and will always remember the people who saved their lives. And I must say that now Ukraine fights not only for Ukrainian sovereignty and territorial integrity, we fight for whole Europe and whole the world. Dziękuję bardzo. God bless America. God bless Poland. Слава Україні!
Thank you, Consul. Our next speaker, State Representative Delia Ramirez, phoned me last night and said she couldn't attend today because she had to be called down to Springfield. But she did want me to relay to our guests here today and to our friends watching this over the internet. She had introduced several weeks ago House Bill 5581 as a bill that would create the Polish Heritage Corridor, which would run from Milwaukee and Sangamon all the way up Milwaukee Avenue to Niles to Milwaukee and Greenwood. She wanted to announce that last week on Thursday, the House passed the bill. It's now sitting in the Senate, and as soon as the Senate passes the bill, she will walk it over to Governor Pritzker's office for his signature, creating one of the first heritage corridors here in the state of Illinois. And it's important to us because it recognizes our Polish-American contribution, not only to the city of Chicago, but to the state of Illinois and to the United States of America. Our next presenter is Congressman Mike Quigley. He'll be providing video remarks. He unfortunately was not able to attend, but sent over a video for Pulaski Day.
Hi, I'm Congressman Mike Quigley. Thank you for inviting me to celebrate Pulaski Day with you. I'm incredibly proud to represent such a large Polish-American population here in Chicago, and always love celebrating this holiday alongside my friends. Casimir Pulaski played a vital role in America's fight for freedom, even saving our first president, George Washington, at the Battle of Brandywine. To honor his selfless service to our nation, I was honored to join the U.S. House of Representatives in bestowing honorary U.S. citizenship to General Pulaski in 2009. In a letter he wrote to Washington, he said, "I came here where freedom is being defended to serve it and to live or die for it." We are seeing that same commitment to freedom today from our friends in Ukraine. And at the same time as Ukrainians are fighting for their country, their neighbors have opened their doors to welcome them and provide for them and to protect them. Poland has so far welcomed over 400,000 refugees from Ukraine. Just as in 1777, when Pulaski came to the aid of the American people, the Polish people are following his lead now in 2022 by coming to the aid of Ukrainians. It is clear that General Pulaski's spirit and his desire to defend freedom wherever it is under attack is still alive and well in the Polish people today. I see that same spirit thriving in Chicago's own Polish community on this Pulaski Day. I want to thank you for everything you have done to make Chicago the beautiful city it is today. I am so honored to represent you. Thank you, and happy Pulaski Day.
I'd like to let our friends know who are watching this over the internet that our program book is available as a download. It's available on the page, and hopefully you'll be able to follow the program and also take a look at all our honored guests for today's commemoration. Since 1944, the Polish-American Congress has represented the interest of Polish Americans, starting out in World War II, going through the communist era, through Solidarity, and now through the atrocities happening in Ukraine. The Polish-American Congress stands at the forefront of representing the interests of Polish Americans. Please welcome Mr. Frank Spula, President of the Polish-American Congress, as well as President of the Polish National Alliance.
Good morning, Mr. President, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Ambassador, Consuls of Poland and Ukraine, elected city officials, and ladies and gentlemen. We're gathered here today to remember an important Polish individual who served, fought, and gave his last full measure of devotion for our country, and by doing so to its freedom for democracy. His devotion and gallantry led him to become a champion of freedom and democracy. We are paying tribute to a hero known as General Kazimierz Pulaski, who used his skills in battle and his commitment to freedom to fight for America's independence. Polish Americans and Poland are proud and grateful to General Pulaski. It is thanks to him and heroes like him that we enjoy the freedoms and liberties of this country today. The fight for and preservation of freedom often comes at a very high cost. We must never, ever take it for granted. I am certain that if he were alive today, General Pulaski would be one of the volunteers using his military skills to fight in the defense of Ukraine. And today's gathering here, we're celebrating Pulaski Day, but we're also remembering the people of Ukraine and its citizens and what they're fighting for. His statement to General Washington is embellished in the minds of many. I came here where freedom is being defended to serve, to live, or die for it. This type of boldness is being displayed today by Ukrainian people and President Zelensky as they face the war head-on in defense of their country. President Zelensky and General Pulaski are both prime examples of leadership and tremendous courage. We're seeing firsthand the atrocities that Putin is committing in Ukraine. We are also seeing the bravery and the resilience of the Ukrainian army and its citizens. As Polish Americans, it gives me tremendous pride on the role of Polish people sheltering and helping the Ukrainian refugees. I am proud to share with you that the Polish American Congress has organized a radiothon in collaboration with WPNA 103.1 to raise money for the medical needs of Ukrainians, as well as Ukrainian refugees in Poland. The radiothon will start at 6 o'clock in the morning this coming Friday, March 11th, and continue through Sunday, March 13th. During this radiothon, you can call the Polish Daily News at 773-763-3343 to make a pledge or a donation. More information can be found on the WPNA-FM's website. I urge everyone to contribute and provide aid to those that need it the most. Part of living in this democracy, such as our bearing the responsibility for taking care of it. In order to bring about the progress you want to seek in your community, you need to be involved in the electoral process. You need to know about the candidates running for office, including what their views on our relevant issues. In this day and age, it's easy to vote and contact our local representatives. I encourage each and every one of you to be engaged in our communities and establish a working partnership with our representatives of our choice. We need to take this initiative as citizens and taxpayers to do what is best for our communities. Do not give up your voice. Don't be a Monday morning quarterback and complain about how things are going because you weren't part of the process. In order to do something, be engaged and make those changes. In closing, I'd like to thank the everyday heroes that are sacrificing their time and their lives to protect us. I'd also recognize the Polish Museum of America for hosting this event for all these years. And to you, ladies and gentlemen, for being part of our community and the elected officials that are here with us celebrating Pulaski Day. You know, in the spirit of General Pulaski, we stand united with the Ukrainian people and the President Zelensky. And let there be peace on earth as we leave this meeting today, our celebration of Pulaski Day. God bless you all.
Next, we will be viewing a video produced by the Polish Museum of America about their Pulaski collection. After that, Jan Lorisch, who's the historian and director emeritus of the Polish Museum of America, will have some remarks. Thank you very much.
The death of Pulaski on the battlefield of Savannah has been officially celebrated in the United States since the 150th anniversary of that battle. Prior to that, since at least the early 1910s, Ignatius Werwinski of South Bend, Indiana, began a campaign to raise awareness of Pulaski and the need for him to be officially commemorated by single-handedly writing hundreds, if not thousands of letters to politicians and leaders across the nation and giving speeches to all audiences that would listen. His efforts paid off as later, as chair of the Federal Pulaski Sesquicentennial Commission, he saw that in 1929, President Hoover signed a bill making October 11th General Pulaski Memorial Day as a federal day of recognition. To this day, the October date continues to be proclaimed by the President annually and observed with large parades in New York, Philadelphia, and other eastern urban centers with large Polish American populations. Illinois, not wishing to compete with the large Italian celebrations of Columbus Day on October 12th, and already having a large parade celebrating the Polish Constitution of May 3rd, 1791, chose the state's observances of Pulaski Day on the first Monday of March, near his birthday. On September 15th, 1977, Governor Daniel Walker signed Casimir Pulaski Day into law, but not as a state holiday, at the PMA on March 3rd, 1986, in a formal declaration at the State of Illinois building, Governor James Thompson designated the first Monday in March as a state holiday in honor of this Revolutionary War hero. This was supported by the presence of Chicago Mayor Harold Washington. Since the day is near the traditional Illinois primaries, politicians of both parties, incumbents as well as contenders, have come to the Polish Museum of America since 1987. The junior senator from Illinois was present at the 2006 celebration, where he was warmly received. Maybe this was a testing of the waters, as the following year he announced his intent to run for president. In 2009, President Obama signed the bill making Brigadier General Casimir Pulaski the 8th honorary United States citizen. Pulaski's nomination was championed by Illinois senior senator Richard Durbin. Founded in 1935, the Polish Museum of America has an interesting and varied collection of material relating to Pulaski. Only 6 years after the sesquicentennial of Pulaski's death, the museum's first curator, Mieczysław Hyman, began gathering materials to enrich the collections. Within the PMA archives are 2 letters written by Pulaski. The earliest, written in Polish in 1772, is regarding his role in the Bar Confederation. The other is a report to General Benjamin Lincoln on the enemy at Savannah, written on September 14, 1779, less than 1 month before the assault in which he was mortally wounded. Other documents in the collection deal with Pulaski's actions during the Revolution and following his death, the conditions and treatment of his legion. This April 19, 1779 letter discusses payments made to Pulaski for his legion. General Lincoln notes on May 19, 1779, that Pulaski was present at the Council of Officers. This chart provides a register of horses within Pulaski's cavalry legion on October 6, 1779. General Lincoln signed off on the November 29, 1779 register concerning the situation of Pulaski's legion after his death. On November 30, 1779, Major Peter Vernier wrote to General Lincoln discussing the poor situation of Pulaski's legion after his death. The last item in the documents collection is a letter written by Samuel Huntington to General Lincoln on December 29, 1779, on the incorporation of Pulaski's Legion after his death into other regiments. Pulaski is also featured in the museum's music collection, which includes sheet music composed specially for the centennial of Pulaski's death, entitled the Pulaski March. In the center, we see a depiction of the Pulaski Monument. Also included in the Pulaski Notes is the Quick Step, a composition played by the Boston Brigade Band and dedicated to the first commander of the Pulaski Guards. The PMA houses a large collection of pins, medals, medallions, and other memorabilia associated with Pulaski, either featuring his likeness or his name. In the late 1800s, early Polish immigrants in the United States established mutual aid societies, and Pulaski was often chosen as the patron of these groups. Gwardia Pułaskiego, a Polish National Alliance organization from 1884. A Polish national group of K. Pulaski from LaSalle, Illinois from 1888. And the Self-Aid Group organized on June 21, 1898 in Minersville, Pennsylvania. From the early 1900s, we have pins that combine buttons and silk screening. The Mutual Aid Society of General Kazimierz Puławski. This ribbon is for the honorary godmother of the Pulaski Standard, dedicated on September 26, 1909 in the nation's capital. Another mutual aid society. These last two ribbons have Chicago connections. The larger one is for the Pulaski Cavalry Society at St. Adalbert Parish in the Pilsen neighborhood. The plainer one is from the Pulaski Citizen Club at Holy Trinity Parish in Polish Chicago's historic downtown. The use of club rather than society came about as the next generation, born in the America, became more involved in Polonia, but on their own terms. Other artifacts worth highlighting include this wooden carving in 1929 by Adam Dąbrowski, which is obtained by Mieczysław Hyman. This scrapbook, compiled by Ignatius Werwinski, presents the placement and dedication of a plaque honoring Casimir Pulaski in Racine, Wisconsin. These buttons and ribbons are from various observances and celebrations of the Pulaski sesquicentennial throughout the United States. Chicago's Polish-American community participated in the 1933 Century of Progress World's Fair. Originally, Polonia was to cooperate with Poland in presenting a pavilion. Plans fell through, but not before a commemorative key fob was created. It depicts Kościuszko, Washington, and Pulaski on one side and the logo of the fair on the other. For the 1976 bicentennial of the American Revolution, the Polish Legion of American Veterans commissioned this decanter to raise funds and to commemorate Pulaski's sacrifice. It originally contained Mr. Boston's finest 100-month-old Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey. In World War I, Kościuszko and Pulaski were asked to serve again, or rather their images were recruited. In 1917, to help raise volunteers for the Polish Army in France, Władysław T. Benda drew this poster showing Kościuszko in his likeness. Pulaski, however, is shown in a four-cornered lancer cap, not used until nearly 50 years after his death. Not translated is the last sentence, "Hey, join the fight against the eternal enemy of Poland and freedom." This 1918 poster by an anonymous Chicago artist adds President Woodrow Wilson and a young Paderewski to the trinity of Kościuszko, Washington, and Pulaski. We also have Columbia, and on the other side, Polish troops attacking the Germans besides an American tank. Another poster by an anonymous artist in 1919 shows a newly free Poland protected by Kościuszko and Pulaski. Above them are Wawel Castle, Warsaw, and Kraków. Between the two flags is Józef Piłsudski. This last poster was printed for the U.S. Department for Food during the war, while the name of Pulaski is spelled in a different variation. The text reminds Polish American families that Kościuszko and Pulaski fought for freedom in America. Will you help America fight for freedom in Poland? Eat less grain, meat, fats, and sugar so that we can help our brothers fighting in the Allied armies. Good advice even 100 years later.
Good afternoon. This year marks the 10th anniversary since the Chicago Public Schools decided to eliminate Columbus Day and Casimir Pulaski Day as days off from school. So we have to ask ourselves, is Casimir Pulaski relevant to the world of the 21st century? In a broad sense, each group identifies with its heroes, and for them, yes, they are relevant. Since you've heard me enough on the tape, I just wanted to add that this is also another anniversary. This year we mark the 250th anniversary of the end of the Bar Confederation, which Pulaski fought in, and the first partition of Poland. The Bar Confederation began in 1768 as a reaction to the interference of Russia, and it was led by the nobility, including the Pulaski family. The nobles and their retainers could not stand up to the Russian army, so they employed what we would call guerrilla tactics. Since Tsarina Catherine the Great was able to persuade influential Europeans that it was the Poles who were causing all the problems, there was no organized assistance from the West. As I said, in 1772, armed resistance to the Russians ceased, and as a punishment, the Polish Commonwealth lost some of its lands and population to its stronger neighbors, Tsarist Russia, the Austrian Empire, and the Kingdom of Prussia. These salami tactics were repeated in 1791 and 1795, when for 123 years Poland was off the map of Europe. So our lesson this year is that in our history, and I use the broad term, strong aggressive countries will throw their weight around. However, smaller countries can prevail, as the the colonies did in 1776, 1783, Haiti in 1791, 1804 against the French Empire of Napoleon, Poland in 1920, and God willing, Ukraine in 2022. Thank you. We are accepting 2 donations from people who have decided that the Polish Museum of America is a fit place to support with historic artifacts. The first donation from Mr. Joseph Trojani is 2 posters from the period of World War I. The Polish community in America had always, and World War II, the Polish community in America had always supported the aspirations of the old country, and probably most significantly 100+ years ago by giving its treasure, but more importantly, its sons and daughters for a free Poland. The famous Polish-American artist Władysław Teodor Benda prepared many posters for the American and Polish war efforts. The first poster, and that was discussed earlier, shows the 2 famous Poles who had arrived for the fight of cause of independence. The second Benda poster is asking for relief for Polish refugees during World War II. The second poster donation is from 1953 Poland and was produced by one of Poland's best poster artists of the 20th century, Tadeusz Gronowski. After the festivities, take a little time to see an example of his earlier work. It is the Lot poster of 1931 found in the transportation room. Mr. Gronowski also designed the Lot flying crane logo in 1929. This poster is from 1953 and highlights Polish folk arts. Mr. Keith Grimmy is donating the poster on behalf of Ms. Chris J. Clemens from Chicago. Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen, for your donation, and thank you, Mr. Lordish, for your comments. Next, we have a musical interlude for you again. It's soprano Mirisław Sojka-Topor, who will now perform for you Opus 18, number 4, Nad Wodą Wielką I Czystą, composed by Ignacy Jan Paderewski, with words by Adam Mickiewicz. Thank you. The stage is yours.
The success of the Polish Museum of America relies on many partners. That includes our members, includes our generous supporters and donors, and includes our corporate sponsors. I'd like to introduce the President and CEO of the Polish and Slavic Federal Credit Union, Mr. Bogdan Chmielewski.
Wow, as the only East Coast resident in this gremium, I have to admit that Chicago is the capital of Polonia. Ladies and gentlemen, it's an honor to be here and thank you for the invitation. I'm very glad that Polish and Slavic Federal Credit Union can be a main sponsor of the event. As the Polish American, a citizen of both countries, I'm very proud to be American and Polish. And there are many reasons for that. The main reason is the fact that Poland and the United States share the same core values: peace, freedom, and independence. And there are so many examples of that from the past. General Kazimierz Pułaski is one of them. But there are also the most recent examples. The support what United States is giving to Ukraine during the fight with the Putin's regime, and also the fact like the Polish nation, like Poles, react to that war. Ladies and gentlemen, we have over 1 million Ukrainian refugees in Poland right now. And the question was asked by the American journalist, where are the tents? Where are the camps? No, there are no tents. There are no camps. All of those million people are hosted by Polish families. I was asked today, if I'm proud of that fact or surprised. Yes, I'm proud of it, but I'm not surprised. Because I'm surprised that many people in America are surprised of that. And this just shows me that there is a lot to do on our side to show the true side of our nation, of Poles. And this is the job for all of us. Ladies and gentlemen, at the end of my short speech, I have to remind the words of late President Lech Kaczyński, who in 2008, when he came to Tbilisi during the Russian attack on Georgia, he said the following words: now it's Georgia, tomorrow it's Ukraine, and then Baltic states, and after that there will be a time for my country, Poland. 2 years later, he lost his life on Russian soil. We would like to say, we wish that word follow President Kaczyński's words. Ladies and gentlemen, God bless America, God bless Poland, God bless Ukraine. Thank you.
I get to introduce all the videos, so here we go with the next one. The next video you will see is a short video that will tell you the history and meaning of the painting behind me, the Battle of Savannah, with Pulaski at Savannah.
As you can see, this monumental painting has a center stage at the museum's Great Hall. Center stage is not just a figure of speech here, because the canvas is actually mounted on the stage of an auditorium that was converted into a museum. The stage placement is fitting because theater and drama just beam from the painting. What do you see? Removing all the knowledge, like tactics of a military battle or facts of the Revolutionary War, one could easily misread this painting. We see military forces moving together in one direction. However, they are wearing different style uniforms. The main action is in the center. Center left, standing out, is no doubt our hero, Brigadier General Kazimierz Pulaski, charging forward. The three-dimensional figures of rider and horse almost jump out of the canvas at us. According to code in military paintings, the horse with both front legs up in the air like this is a sign of the soldier dying in battle. Who is the second figure right behind Pulaski? Judging purely from the composition and different style uniforms, we could mistake him for Pulaski's attacker. But, in fact, they are a part of the same team.
Batowski researched the events surrounding Pulaski's death. His legion was a force of infantry and cavalry, as shown in the painting. American soldiers have blue uniforms, and the French, aiding Americans on the peripheries, white uniforms. Together, they are charging on the British forces, or the redcoats, beyond the painted scene, with an exception of one fallen British soldier in the trenches by the left edge. Pulaski is wearing the Polish hussar uniform from the late 18th century. Notice the fur-lined cape, the pelisse, and below it a pouch, a so-called hussar pendant, decorated with an emblem of the Polish white-crowned eagle. This element is very symbolically exactly in the center of the painting. The general's facial expression is that of strain and distress. He was just hit by grape shot, as we know from historical sources, somewhere below the waist. The wound is not visible in the painting. Pulaski's sword points down alongside the body of the horse, trying to keep his balance and stay in the saddle. Right behind Pulaski, the officer depicted is not George Washington, as some suggest. Washington was then in the mid-Atlantic states, keeping the British at bay. This is most likely Major Horry, Pulaski's adjutant. He seems terrified and in disbelief that his general is injured.
Notice the colors in the painting. They are vivid and darker in the center and lighter pastel all around. The front center figures are presented with more detail and realism, while other figures are more abstract, fading into the background. One thing that might surprise us is the landscape. Instead of the luscious green landscape of Savannah, Georgia, we see a desert. What time of the day is depicted? The sun is casting long shadows. It would point to an early morning or late afternoon or evening time. The sky is darker, blue, purple shade, an atmosphere almost like before or after a storm, which is very fitting with these dramatic events.
The Siege of Savannah was the second deadliest battle of the Revolutionary War. The year before, the city was captured by the British. The siege was an American and French attempt to retake it. It lasted a month from mid-September to mid-October 1779. On October 9th, a major assault against the British failed. During the morning attack, Polish nobleman Brigadier General Kazimierz Pulaski, leading cavalry forces on the American side, was mortally wounded. Batowski's Pulaski at Savannah has served as the backdrop for the annual official State of Illinois Pulaski Day ceremonies, held at the Polish Museum of America since 1987. The painting has a fascinating history associated with Chicago and Illinois. It was commissioned in 1932 for the Chicago Century of Progress exhibition, also known as the 1933-34 Chicago World's Fair. It was supposed to mark Polish-American community's participation in the fair.
Artist Stanisław Kaczor-Batowski was chosen to execute the commission. By the way, Kaczor was his nickname. He was a realist painter, specializing mainly in Poland's military history, although occasionally he painted landscapes and other subjects. He was born in Lwów in 1886. He lived in Lwów, and that's where he painted our large oil on canvas that he brought to Chicago. It is definitely considered among the best known of his works. Besides the monumental Pulaski at Savannah, we have two small paintings by Batowski in our collection. The first one is a very pleasant French Riviera seascape that can send you to a vacation dreamland. It is an oil on plywood, painted in 1932, the same year Pulaski at Savannah was painted. And the second painting is more typical for Batowski. Skirmish from Bolshevik War of 1920. It is an oil on cardboard, painted in 1922. It depicts two soldiers on horseback, Polish soldier and Russian soldier fighting.
Not just one, but two of Batowski's monumental paintings were presented at the Chicago Century of Progress, Pulaski at Savannah, and also an incident from the Polish Bolshevik War of 1920, the Battle of Zadwórze, also called the Polish Thermopylae. This painting is now in the collection of the Polish Army Museum in Warsaw.
Pulaski at Savannah painting was unveiled at the Art Institute of Chicago by the First Lady Eleanor Roosevelt. The Chicago Daily Tribune featured an article about this event. It notes that Polish Women's Alliance president Emiliana Pieralski participated in the ceremony and presented Mrs. Roosevelt with a giant bouquet of roses. The canvas received second place in a contest on the most popular painting, so it was quite a success with the viewers. It was purchased in 1933 by the Polish Women's Alliance for $3,200 US, which would be around $65,000 today.
In 1939, at the 17th convention of the fraternal organization, the Polish Women's Alliance, proposed to donate the painting to the museum. We have a document in Polish, a special resolution explaining the details. The canvas was simply too large. It measures 11 by 14 feet and did not fit into the Polish Women's Alliance building on Ashland Avenue. By the next convention, the organization made this donation official, and Pulaski at Savannah became one of the most recognizable and cherished artifacts in our collection.
We hope you enjoyed these videos today. We have many more videos about our collections on YouTube. You just need to type in Polish Museum of America, and you'll be able to find various videos on collections and historical happenings within the Polish American community. I'd like to also take a moment, I was a little remiss earlier, to introduce Anna Magierowska, wife of the ambassador, who's also here with us in the museum. Our next speaker is somebody that everybody knows. She's not only a politician, but she's a friend of the Polish Museum of America. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our dear, dear, dear Maria Pappas.
You're the best, thank you. Yeah. Thank you. This day is about the Polish people who embody courage, conviction, and character. Look at the person next to you and tell me in this city if that person isn't somebody who has courage, conviction, and character. A year ago when I spoke to you, we were all upset because it was COVID. And now, we were lucky to get here without getting shot. In this craziness of a crime scene and the uncertainty of crime, and now, thirdly, the uncertainty of a war. We're here to honor Pulaski, who went through several wars. In fact, he escaped the Soviets. He escaped the Soviets and came here and became the father of the American cavalry. You know, God makes heroes. Frank, God makes heroes. He made Pulaski, Lucy, he made Pulaski. And he also made someone who's near and dear to our hearts, a 106-year-old woman, Maria Mareshka Lurish, 106 years old. She is not here. She is sitting in a nursing home in Poland, but she is a hero who embodies courage, conviction, and character in this community. I want you to think about the people in the Polish community who've gone before you, who've gone before you, your ancestors. And I want you to think about the wars that they went through, the wars that they went through. Maria is a hero. Her first war was in 1916. She was only 4 years old, World War I. Her second one came in 1920 when the Soviets invaded Poland. Courage, conviction, and character. Courage, conviction, and character. The Third War in 1939, Germany comes in to invade Poland, and the Soviets come in several weeks later and take over, and she's there. Courage, conviction, and character, like Pulaski. Courage, conviction, and character. The Fourth War was 1940, a German occupation of Poland, and she was praying over the dying. Think of your relatives who've passed. She was praying over the dying, delivering underground press and smuggling supplies to partisans. In 1943, she was at the university, and Pope John Paul II was there as a student fighting with her. War number 5, courage, conviction, and character, began in 1944 with the Warsaw Uprising. Maria rushed in to help, but the Soviets stopped her and soon took over. So now comes 1945, and the National Democrats wanted to fight the Soviet Union. She was arrested and thrown in jail 3 times. 3 times. On her 6th war at 106 years old. Before her next arrest, she got a Luxembourg passport and got out of the country and came here. So you know what? Courage. Look at the person next to you and tell me if they, as a Polish individual, don't have her DNA of courage, conviction, and character. She is sitting in that nursing home. She is looking out that window, and she is wishing that there not be another war. So we say, God, grant her her wish that there not be another war. And to God we say today, in closing, thank you for creating real Polish heroes. Thank you for Pulaski, and thank you for Maria. I love you. Thank you.
Thank you, Treasurer Pappas, for your words. The next person on the list that will be speaking to us is the, I want to get her title right, the Senior Vice President, yes? Sorry. The Senior Vice President of Business Banking for Chicago and Wisconsin from PNC Financial Services Group, Ms. Uzma Kazmi.
Good morning. On behalf of thousands of employees here in the region, PNC Bank is thrilled to again be part of this annual and very special celebration honoring General Kazimierz Pulaski. Thank you to everyone here at the Polish Museum of America for keeping this important tradition alive. Not just for the Polish community, but for all of us who share in the spirit of honoring diversity and cultures. And thank you to all of those who have joined us today. At PNC, our goal is to be a partner that adds value not only for our Polish customers, but our greater Chicagoland community. In fact, we've been serving customers and growing businesses and investing in the region and the Polish community for over 100 years. One thing we're very proud of is the wide range of diversity amongst our employees, including hundreds of Polish speakers who offer in-language services at nearly 40 of our branches in the Chicagoland region. Chicago is a very special city with a rich mosaic of ethnic groups. that values ethnic identity, just like all of you here. We're dedicated to preserving the history and heritage of our homelands. We're proud of our longstanding commitment to support the museum and the preservation of the Polish culture and heritage, an important and necessary role to showcase the legacy of our people, of your people, and to educate future generations. Congratulations on all that you do year-round, and thank you for allowing us to be part of this very special celebration. We stand with all of our brothers and sisters in Ukraine. Dziękuję.
Thank you, Ms. Cosme. One more video presentation for you. Again, let me get the light out of the way. Hopefully it'll be a short one. It's a montage of commemorating the past Pulaski days here at the Polish Museum of America. Please.
Dzień dobry. Happy Pulaski Day. Dzień dobry.
Dzień dobry.
Dzień dobry.
Dzień dobry.
Dzień dobry.
Dzień dobry.
I would like to start off by first of all saying dzień dobry to everybody.
To nie tylko zaszczyt, ale i wielka przyjemność być ponownie w tym najbardziej polskim z amerykańskich miast.
It is with great pleasure that I speak to you today on Kazimierz Pułaski Day.
W tym dniu generała Kazimierza Puławskiego stajemy razem, aby pamiętać.
So the truth be told, I realized when I got out of bed this morning that this is the 27th year that I have been coming here.
W zeszłym roku mówiłem po polsku, ale koledzy mnie nie rozumieli. So I think this year I'll speak in English.
Chciałem serdecznie przywitać wszystkich, którzy były, aby uhonorować życie działalność Kazimierza Pułaskiego.
Illinois is the only state in the Union that recognizes Pulaski Day as an official state holiday.
This year we celebrate the 100th anniversary of formal diplomatic relations between the U.S. and Poland.
So I do in my household have a very wonderful strategic alliance between, my parents came from Mexico, but my husband's family came from Poland. So it's a wonderful strategic alliance. Don't you agree?
Yes, I am Jan Czakowski. I represent a district that actually is 10% Polish.
I will say, when I was a sponsor of the original visa waiver, and somebody continues to advocate it, you do not treat a first-class friend like a second-class citizen.
I came to report to you on our efforts with Congressman Quigley to get the visa waiver program.
Kazimierz Pulaski famously wrote to General Washington, "I came here where freedom is being defended, to serve it, and to live and die for it."
We remember General Pulaski for his skills in battle, his commitments to freedom, and his willingness to give up his life for America's independence.
Pulaski
not only gave his life for this country, but gave his life for the freedom that we enjoy, and embrace that opportunity to carry it forward, not only for ourselves, but for future generations.
God bless the great nation of Poland, God bless the people of Illinois, and God bless the United States of America. Dziękuję. Dziękuję.
You know, just like the song says, those were the days we thought they'd never end. Well, folks, you know, we're slowly getting back to normal, and we hope in the coming year, next year's Pulaski Day, to be able to host a much larger crowd so that all of us can participate and enjoy the reason why we're here today. Thank you. Our next guest speaker is someone whose family spans active involvement in Polonia for well over 100 years. Her grandmother, Lydia, was a stalwart of the Polish community starting in the 1920s all the way up until her death in the 1980s. Her father, Congressman Roman Puccinski, president of the Polish American Congress, only the division, and a strong pillar of the Polish community for well over 50 years. And I'm happy to say and proud to say that the legacy that the Puccinski family has continues with our next speaker. Please welcome Judge Aurelia Puccinski.
Good morning. Souls and bodies will lay down, all for our freedom. Pulaski could have said those words. Instead, it is the refrain of the Ukrainian national anthem calling on all of us who are committed to freedom to stand up and be counted. Evil. We are witnessing evil. Russia is killing civilians to wipe out a sovereign nation, to wipe it off the map. What would Kazimierz Pulaski do? Well, he'd probably pack up his sword and his saddle and go to Ukraine and join the fight for liberty as he did when we were fighting for our freedom. What can we do? We can donate money and goods to responsible organizations to help the Ukrainian people in this fight. We can call and write to all of our elected officials at every level to get them to do more, to send fighter planes from NATO to allies and allies to the Ukrainian military, to cut off Russian gas and oil. We can email every US company still doing Russia to stop. We can pray for every Ukrainian and every person in Poland, Hungary, Czechoslovakia, Moldova, and other nations that are helping. We can call the White House and tell President Biden that while he watched those Ukrainian tanks gather near Ukraine's border, and while he believed Putin's lies about military exercises and, no plans to invade, we knew better. We've seen Russia in action. And while the leaders of the West insist that we cannot figure out a way to have a no-fly zone or a ceasefire in Ukraine, I ask you to join me in calling on a woman of courage, Dr. Jill Biden, to go to Ukraine to establish a humanitarian corridor. Believe me, not even a crazy man like Putin will risk killing the First Lady. Few of us actually remember September 1st, 1939. But all of us have watched the movies and pictures of World War II, and all of us are horrified that now, 83 years later, we are seeing the same pictures, but with weapons that are devastatingly more lethal. Kazimierz Pulaski was a man of action. If we are to honor him at all, then we must be women and men of action. We probably can't go join the Ukrainian military to fight with guns, but we can join them in spirit, the same spirit that brought Pulaski to our shores to fight for liberty, the same spirit that solidarity led to bring down the Iron Curtain, the same spirit that moves exhausted, hungry, and freezing Ukrainian men and women to stand in front of Russian tanks and armed soldiers. We can show the world that the spirit of Pulaski is alive and well in the souls of all Poles. We support the Polish volunteers and government offering shelter to more than 1 million Ukraine refugees. We support the organizations that are helping, like the Legion of Young Polish Women, WPNA, the Polish American Medical Association. We support the freedom of Ukraine and its independence from Russia. In 1994, American President Clinton, Russian President Yeltsin, and Ukrainian President Kravchuk signed a trilateral agreement in Moscow, in which Ukraine gave up its nuclear weapons for assurances from the US and Russia that its sovereignty would be assured. We have watched President Putin roll over borders, history, and linguistics, justifying his war in Ukraine as a special military operation to secure the security of Russia and help Ukrainians enjoy the freedom of a Russian protectorate. Putin has totally convoluted the Bucharest Memorandum, now claiming that Ukraine is a new nation and is not a party to the memorandum at all. Baloney. I ask you all to stand up as I recite the poignant words of the Ukrainian national anthem. Ukraine's glory has not yet died, nor her freedom. Upon us, my young brothers, fate shall yet smile. Our enemies will perish like dew in the morning sun, and we too shall rule, brothers, in our own land. Souls and bodies will lay down, all for our freedom. Thank you.
Thank you, Judge Puccinski. Nothing shows spirit, especially the Polish spirit, like Polish dance. Please welcome the Tatra Mountain Cultural Foundation Ensemble, who will present a suite of Highlander dances.
te zdeliny, spozierają do doliny, sy się pasą te zdeliny. gdzie się ma piec.
Thank you to the Tata Foundation Ensemble. As you can see, the spirit of Poland is alive in our young people today. Ladies and gentlemen, the Polish Museum of America, just doesn't happen. There are many things that occur in this place and happen because of our dedicated staff who ensure that what you see here is presented so that in our mission, preserving the past to benefit the future. The person that oversees all this is a key component to all of this. I'd like to introduce our next speaker, Małgorzata Kot, the Managing Director of the Polish Museum of America.
Dzień dobry. Thank you very much for those words. We had to cut something from our program, and I'm here to say it. But I have to acknowledge of you. Every single one of you is connected with our pattern of tapestry that we are here at the Polish Museum. The dancers, the singers, the people from the Polish Museum of America board, and all of you presidents, everybody who's here did an input and paid us a token of your history. It's our mutual museum. Alongside all of the people that they are behind the cameras around the world, we are glued to the news, talking with our family abroad, organizing help and support for our colleagues here and in Poland. We are sincere, loyal people, good neighbors who care, and we are very worried about the war. Only together as a community we can continue to move forward while maintaining our heritage and identity. In this hall, like Ambassador said, we are surrounded by the items from the 1939 New York's Fair. They didn't go back to Poland. They were not able to go back to Poland because the Second World War broke down. And you can see on them, it's nothing that's very changed from the moments right now. We don't know what's in front of us. Is that a turd? We hope not. We are hoping for freedom and we are hoping for peace, like the singers and us together we were singing. We are surrounded by the items that they were preserved thanks to the Polonica Institute. And the Polonica Institute also preserved many Polish places in Ukraine. And now they are securing all of those efforts for the past 4 years to make sure to prevent them from the harm from the war. We are very thankful to the Ministry of Culture and Heritage for helping us with 2 grants. We are very thankful to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs for helping us with our costume room renovation and the back of the stage renovation that we are going right now under. We thank the ministries, and we know that we are here as a symbol. It's very hard to be abroad at the moment of need. We are watching our friends like Marek Skulimowski fighting on the border, and we are very proud of our families and the institutions that they are helping Ukraine and Poland right now. John Kennedy said, "Mankind must put an end to war, or war will put an end to mankind." A Wojciech Młynarski powiedział, jak szkło pod powieką rani źrenicę czystą, wojna nie jest daleko, wojna jest zawsze blisko. We have to learn how to make peace, and we are very thankful that all of you are here today and that we can count on our connections. We have to be kind to one another. That's how we have to learn peace and how we have to teach peace to our kids. I thank you very much from the bottom of our hearts, from the whole staff of the Polish Museum of America, from the committee of the Pulaski Day celebration with my superior president, Mr. Owsiany, who organized everything, and I thank you. Dziękuję Państwu z serca.
We're here to introduce our last performance. It is again the Academy of Music of the Pulaski Symphony Orchestra. Excuse myself, they'll be performing two pieces. The Mazur, that was composed by Emil Mynarski, and second, the Polonaise Farewell to My Homeland, composed by Michał Kleofas Ogoński. Paso. Thank you very much. That was wonderful to see young people play music. It was a wonderful thing to see. Our next video will be a short video by our own PMA employee, Basia Kozhachowska. It is a recitation of the hymn of the Moravian nuns of Bethlehem on the consecration of Pulaski's banner as composed by Henry Wadsworth Longfellow.
When the dying flame of day through the chancel shut its ray, far the glimmering tapers shed faint light on the cowled head. And the censers burning swung where before the altar hung the crimson banner that with prayer had been consecrated there. And the nuns' sweet hymn was heard the while, sung low in the dim, mysterious aisle. Take thy banner, may it wave proudly o'er the good and brave, when the battle's distant wail breaks the Sabbath of our veil, when the clarion's music thrills to the hearts of those long hills, when the spear in conflict shakes and the strong lance shivering breaks. Take thy banner, and beneath the battle clouds encircling wreath, guard it till our homes are free. Guard it. God will prosper thee in the dark and trying hour, in the breaking force of power, in the rush of steeds and men. His right hand will shield thee then. Take thy banner. But when night closes round the ghastly fight, in the vanquished warrior's bow, spare him by our holy vow, by our prayers and many tears, by the mercy that endures. Spare him, he our love had shared. Spare him as thou wouldest be spared. Take thy banner, and if e'er thou shouldest press the soldier's bier, and the mournful drum should beat to the thread of mournful feet, then this crimson flag shall be martial cloak and shroud for thee. And the warrior took that banner proud, and it was his martial cloak and shroud.
Ladies and gentlemen, I ask you to please rise as we lay a wreath in front of our Batowski painting, Pulaski at Savannah. Accompanying the Kościuszka Guards are James Robaczewski, President of the Polish Roman Catholic Union and Chairman of the Board of the Polish Museum of America, Frank Spula, President of the Polish American Congress and the Polish National Alliance, Consul Małgorzata Bąk-Guzik, Polish Consul in Chicago, and Ambassador Marek Magierowski will walk into a composition, Polskie Drogi, as interpreted by Kamil Bundyra. Ladies and gentlemen, to close our program, I call upon the Polish Museum of America chaplain, Father Andrzej Tocki.
Niech będzie pochwalony Jezus Chrystus. We are all aware of the tragedy that is happening in the Ukraine. Like Kazimierz Pulaski, many of our friends are now giving their lives for freedom. We remember them and pray to God for them and for peace. So let us pray. God of infinite mercy and goodness, with grateful hearts we pray to you today for peace. For you offer us your peace continually and constantly remind us that peacemakers are blessed. For they shall be called children of God. May your voice resound in the hearts of all as you call us to follow the path of reconciliation and peace, and to be merciful as you are merciful. We pray to you for the people of Ukraine who are experiencing conflicts and deaths. Bless the leaders with wisdom, vision, and perseverance needed to build together a world of justice and solidarity, and to break down walls of hostility and division. May you continue to inspire all of us to unity of heart and mind, to work for the common good, to respect the dignity of every person and the fundamental rights which have their origin in the image of likeness of God impressed upon every human being. Grant eternal rest to the dead and quick recovery to the wounded. We pray through Christ our Lord. Amen. Let us now ask our Mother Mary to intercede for the people of Ukraine by praying together. Zdrowaś Maryjo, łaski pełna, Pan z Tobą, błogosławionaś Ty między niewiastami i błogosławiona Święta Maryjo, Matko Boża, módl się za nami grzesznymi, teraz i w godzinę śmierci naszej. Niech was błogosławi Bóg Wszechmogący, Ojciec i Syn i Duch Święty.
Please remain standing. Thank you on behalf of the Polish Museum of America and the Polish Roman Catholic Union for all our guests who attended here today. Thank you to our viewers who logged in on our website and watched the program virtually. Thank you to the performers, to our speakers. We wouldn't have had a beautiful program without your assistance. Ladies and gentlemen, this place is very special. It has been for 85 years. It tells a story. It tells our story. And we were very honored today to be able to share that story with you, our viewers, and we also wanted to make sure that our Ukrainian friends know that we stand in solidarity with you.